Yes, welcome. This is Seriously Speaking. I'm talking seriously today about mental health. You know how it is? Most of us don't want to even agree that we are shades away from really jumping off a cliff or doing something really stupid because our minds have a way of playing tricks on us. Now, it's important that we realize that mental health is key. With all the stories we've heard in recent times about people getting up and jumping off the bridge or people just suddenly stabbing their spouses, it's not sudden. It started with little drops. I have two guests in the house, two beautiful ladies that will be treating this. One of them has lived it, and one of them treats it. I'll be back on Seriously Speaking in a short while. Yes, let me start by introducing you to my first guest. Her name is Kris Ero. Kris, oh Kris, if you were in America, you would have been, your place of birth was where you're from. You were born in Kano. Where were you born?
No, I was born in Jos.
So you have been a Plateau person? I'd
have been a Plateau person by virtue of where I was born. But where I lived and spent most of my years, growing up years, Kano.
So you are a northerner?
I'm a northerner. I schooled in Zaria and, so it was after, I even served in the north, so.
How did that happen? Because your name is an Edo name, so they thought that...
I'm sure, yeah, exactly.
Maybe she's not from this side.
And the funny thing is I wanted to serve in Lagos, but it didn't work out, and they gave me Kwara State. I tried to do all the whole transfer and stuff, and my dad warned me, better take what you were given, So I stuck with what I had. And
no, you did geography.
I did
you
geography.
You would have liked to be an engineer.
Now you're a communicator. Not like loved to be an engineer. And why am I a communicator now? Yes. It just happened, I guess. It just happened. I've always loved to talk. I've always loved to communicate, right? And I've always loved to write as well. But I thought my passion, I thought that was my passion, being an engineer, because I love to tinker with things. I like to see things build. I like to build them, actually. But as fate would have it, I ended up in the geography department. I left geography, and funnily enough, when I came to Lagos and I started working, everywhere I've worked has been in the media. So I've always.
What was the first place of work?
I worked in the media. I worked in RMS. I worked at RMS. That was my first place, and then I worked with Media Track, and then from there I worked with Tajudeen Adekwetu. For quite a number of years, and I'd like to say, in fact, he was very phenomenal, very instrumental to what it is that I...
stay with media.
Stay with media, because I saw him very creative, very ingenious, and he's very, how do I put it, very accommodating, He allows you to think outside the box, and so that actually fueled my creativity, and I realized that, well, this is something I can do, this is something that I love, but while I was doing all that, I was working behind the scenes. So I've never really been in front of the camera.
You look good in front of the camera.
Well, now I know. Initially, I didn't think I looked good enough in front of, but I was more of a marketer, more of a communicator. Corporate communications, behind the scenes, just that. So my foray into all this happened when when I lost my memory.
When you lost 2 years.
When I lost
2 years. Tell me about
that,
because you were working on radio.
Yeah, no, I wasn't working on radio when it happened. I was actually running my own business when it happened. So as I said, I was into corporate communications.
Should I believe you? If you remember that was your business.
No, really. Because the reason why I went into the media, why I even went to radio, it was my husband that advised me to do that. Because then I knew nothing, I didn't
about your past.
I knew nothing about anything. I didn't know anything about where I was, the country, the government, politics, entertainment, social. I didn't know anything. So he advised me, because I spent most of my time in front of the TV at home, just trying to put myself into the mix, learning social media.
But you knew you were in Nigeria, sir?
They told me I was. It was like a blank slate. It was, the only thing I knew, was like, I just thought I was 16 years old for whatever reason. That was just it. But beyond that, I knew nothing, So he felt the best way for me to immerse myself into life was to work in a media house, maybe go into radio better, and involve myself in research and stuff like that. So I went into radio as an intern.
Meanwhile, you had already graduated, done everything.
I had worked, and funny, I didn't even know how highly placed I was, until, especially because some of the stars, knew me. And when they came to the radio station and they saw the tag, they saw the tag intern, and they were like, Kris. But I didn't even know who they were, but I was like, okay, yeah. And then I go to the research.
Give me an example.
Okay, Ginny, Ginny met me, Darren as well. And these were people that had worked closely with. So when they came and they saw me, doing what I was doing, it was a bit shocking for them. But I didn't explain to them why. Because I didn't know what... No, I didn't. Because I didn't know how to explain. And even then
So you pretend like you know them?
Yeah, of course, I had to. That was how I survived. I pretended I knew people. And I told someone that what the period taught me was that I'm very good at acting. I could be a very great actress, like seriously, because what I did to survive was and my memory became extremely on point.
Tell me what happened.
Apparently, what happened was I went into a coma.
You had 3 kids at that time?
I had 2 kids. The second kid was about 5 months old when this happened, so...
She or he?
A boy.
Okay.
So I had 2 boys. And he was about 5 months old when this happened.
How old is he now?
He's 4. He's 4. And he's going to be 5. Yeah, he's going to be 5. So...
So this happened 5 years ago?
Yeah.
This happened in 2013?
Yes, it did. It happened 2013. Thank you. And I went into a coma and I woke up in the hospital.
Were you in an accident?
I was in an accident.
I
just slumped. According to my husband then, it happened quite early in the morning.
You woke up?
Between 12 and 1 a.m. I think I was supposed to go to the bathroom or something to have a bath or something like that, and that was how I slumped.
You fell and must have hit your head.
Well, they searched my brain, they searched my head. With all the scans that I did, they thought that I had suffered a trauma of some sort, right? But they couldn't find any bruising. So I don't think the bruising was not external, apparently. It was more internal.
So you fell. So what did your husband do?
He took me, that was the last I remembered. So the next thing I knew was I was in the hospital. I woke up in a strange place and, people were all around me, but I didn't know who they were, and this guy says he's my husband. I'm like, hey, hold on.
But did you think he was good looking though?
Sorry?
Did you think he was good looking?
That wasn't what came to my mind. That was the last thought on my mind. What was on my mind was, goodness gracious, what's happening to me? Because I don't know if you can understand.
But they told you this is your husband.
Then, yes, the doctor, because nobody knew. It was when I started asking certain questions, when I was asking, like, who is he, and they were looking at me strangely. Even my brother had to come in.
How long were you in a coma for?
I was in a coma for almost 48 hours.
Okay.
Almost 48 hours. And what led to it was a spike in my blood pressure. It had really gone so high, and the only way my body could survive was to shut down. So it was in the process of shutting down that I collapsed, and apparently the whole thing, took my memory with it.
So for 2 years you were at that point?
So for 2 years.
So that's why I want to invite my next guest to join us to have this conversation, because you're going to write all of this in a book. Trust me, I'll publish it.
You're not the first person to tell me. In fact, someone has told me to do a
movie. On the publishing. Dibs on the publishing. But I must bring Dr. Maimuna, my psychiatrist friend, into the house to join us on this conversation to understand how this could have happened. I'll be right back on Seriously Speaking. Yes, Dr. Maimuna has joined. I just call her Dr. Maimuna. Because, first of all, she's as bright as sunshine. I'll change your name to Sunshine. Because if you follow her on social media, everything she wears, colors, brightness, is that on purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Branding.
Wow.
Branding, or you're bringing sunshine to people's lives?
Bringing sunshine, making people happy. Facebook has these activities, changing the world or making people happy or making things happen. Yeah.
So, but I find Kris's story quite interesting because when she came to, she said all she remembered was that she was 16 years old. That she can, but what was it that helped, how does this happen to the human mind?
The truth is that she gave a story that do happen a lot of times in the hospital and in setting that people don't understand. When you have essential hypertension, people don't really know. Because most of us don't go about checking our blood pressure regularly. Then even doing our medical investigation, just holistically, maybe once a year or twice a year, depending on what it is, the money or maybe your company helping you. We don't do that. So our blood pressure went up, and then she collapsed. She went into coma. So what we normally call that is a transient ischemic attack, meaning that, the blood pressure went, and then she didn't go into unconsciousness for 20, 41 months. It was within 48 hours.
Within 2 days, yes.
And then the body regulated itself. Like, I am too...
And came back.
Yes.
Then why did the memory disappear?
Good. So that is one of the causes of memory loss. It's a temporary thing, gradually starts building back, gradually. Some people, they may just wake up and everything comes back immediately, while some people may even be permanent. So, like she said, it has started coming back gradually. But she said something very important. She said she was over 30, but she assumed she was 16. So the first question, if she comes to somebody like me, after knowing about daughter and every other thing, is that, why, sis, what happened when she was 16? What is that thing she's holding on? So she went to a happy place. Where
were you at 16? University?
Yeah, I think I was in university then.
Freshman.
Freshman.
I was a very, very fresh jambito.
So she went to a comfortable zone, a happy place, where even if you're telling at that point that, no, you are over 30, you say, no, I'm going to take it one day at a time, and then gradually started building.
Well, that is Chris's story, but I found, how did you manage to survive that 2 years? Because eventually you got your memory back.
Yeah, after 2 years, it came back.
You must have been released after 48 hours.
Sorry?
You must have been released from the hospital after 48 hours.
I was.
So you went home.
I went
you didn't
home,
know
I
your
was
daughter,
given drugs.
you didn't know your son, you didn't know your kids.
I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know my house. I didn't know the clothes. I had to even buy a new set of underwear because I
refused to wear it.
I wasn't sure of anything there. Do you understand? And I had to survive on a cocktail of drugs. You know, I was given some drugs.
Definitely.
So I had to take these drugs every blessed day. But I got tired of taking the drugs at one point, and then I complained to the doctor. He said, "Okay, fine, let's chill," because I got this mobile blood pressure monitor, and I noticed that for a while it was just normal. I said, "Okay, fine, can I stay off the drugs?" He said, "Okay, yeah, why don't let's try, let's see how it goes." 2 days after, I went back.
So was it related to childbirth? Could it have been postnatal?
What we're thinking is that's possible because after I had my child, I was supposed to have gone for a postnatal check. The day we went, for some reason, they couldn't find my file. And I was in a hurry. I needed to go somewhere else, right? I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to come back. I never did. Yeah. But I was busy.
So they might have noticed that blood pressure.
They might have.
If you had gone.
They might have.
If someone like her had this kind of thing, say in 1970, she probably would have ended up on the streets, right?
Possibility, because people wouldn't believe her. People wouldn't. They would think
believe you, right?
That she was faking it.
It took a while for people
exactly. And then, depending on the setting, maybe she was not in an urban area, maybe in a village setting. Of course, a lot of fingers will be pointed at different areas.
That's why we call people witches. I'm just thinking, or mad people.
Exactly. The witches. Somebody is doing her. Somebody did, and then she had a son. So it could be that, oh, somebody is jealous of the fact that she has a son. So all that would sum up those days. But now she was in an urban area. And she said very pertinent things. A lot of warning signs that were so obvious. But of course, she just felt that she was okay. And that is life for all of us. That is a lesson for everybody to learn.
I must do this again. I'll do this again, and then we'll have more time to talk, but I must go now. But what's important is, whatever the case is, seek help.
Yes, seek
help.
Exactly.
There's a thin line between begin and seek help, and help exists. She's a private practitioner, for example. And we should stop talking about mental health as if it's
madness.
Like mad doctor.
Or as if it's a stigma. It's just as she said, it's the same as your physical health.
Because she could have turned mad.
Exactly.
Really mad.
Really mad.
If you don't check it early.
If you did check it
and that was what I was told. I should be very grateful. It's only the memory that disappeared.
Exactly.
Okay, we must go. That's Seriously Speaking. We'll see you again next week. Bye.